Imagine being completely colorblind. You see the world in shades of gray, no red, no blue, no green, just black, white, and everything in between. Now imagine being able to change your skin to match any color, any pattern, any texture in your environment. Perfectly, instantly, in less than a second. Impossible, right? Meet the cuttlefish, a creature that is completely, utterly colorblind. And yet, it's the greatest color artist in the entire ocean. A master of disguise that can't even see the disguises it creates. A hypnotist that mesmerizes prey with pulsating waves of color. A creature with 3 hearts, blue blood, and a brain so sophisticated it rivals primates. This is the story of one of evolution's most beautiful paradoxes. The story of the cuttlefish. And trust me, nothing about this animal makes sense until you see it in action. Picture yourself descending into the shallow waters of the Mediterranean Sea. The sunlight filters through the waves above, creating dancing patterns on the sandy bottom. Seagrass sways gently in the current. Everything seems calm, peaceful. You're looking for something, but you can't find it. Your eyes scan the sand, the rocks, the coral. Nothing. Then suddenly, the sand moves. What you thought was just part of the seafloor suddenly ripples and shifts. Colors cascade across a surface you didn't even know was there. In less than a second, what was invisible becomes visible. A creature about the size of a football, with a rounded body, 8 arms, 2 longer tentacles, and the most alien eyes you've ever seen. W-shaped pupils, horizontal slits that look almost mechanical, eyes that track you independently, one watching your face while the other scans your hands. This is a common cuttlefish, and it just revealed itself because it decided you weren't a threat. Or maybe it was curious. With cuttlefish, it's hard to tell. The creature hovers in the water column, and as you watch, its skin begins to change. Waves of color pulse across its body, brown to tan to speckled to striped. It's not just changing color, it's changing texture. Its skin raises into points and ridges, mimicking the rocks around it, then smooths out to match sand, then becomes rough again. It's performing, communicating, hunting, all at once. And here's the thing that will blow your mind. This creature cannot see a single one of the colors it's producing. Let's start with the impossible biology. The cuttlefish is a cephalopod, a member of the same family that includes octopuses and squid. But while octopuses are the escape artists and squid are the speed demons, cuttlefish are the artists. The illusionists, the hypnotists, like their cousins. Cuttlefish have 3 hearts. 2 pump blood to the gills, 1 pumps it to the rest of the body. Their blood is blue, not red, because it's based on copper rather than iron. In cold water, copper is actually more efficient at carrying oxygen than iron, which is why so many ocean creatures have blue blood. They have a beak like a parrot, hidden in the center of their 8 arms. This beak is the only hard part of their body. Everything else is soft, flexible, squeezable. A cuttlefish can fit through any opening larger than its beak, just like an octopus. Inside their body is something called a cuttlebone, a porous internal shell that they use for buoyancy control. By adjusting the ratio of gas to liquid in the chambers of this bone, they can hover perfectly still in the water, rise or sink. It's like having a built-in submarine ballast system, but the real magic is in their skin. A cuttlefish's skin contains millions of specialized cells called chromatophores. Each chromatophore is like a tiny balloon filled with pigment, red, yellow, brown, or black. Surrounding each chromatophore are tiny muscles that can contract or relax in milliseconds. When the muscles contract, they pull the chromatophore open, spreading the pigment across a larger area, and that color becomes visible. When they relax, the chromatophore shrinks back down to a tiny dot, and the color disappears. Now here's where it gets really wild. Beneath the chromatophores are 2 other layers. First, there are iridophores, cells that reflect light to create iridescent blues, greens, and purples. Then there are leucophores, cells that scatter light to create white. All 3 layers working together can create virtually any color, any pattern, any combination imaginable. And the cuttlefish controls all of this directly with its brain, not through hormones like a chameleon, through direct neural control. It's like having millions of pixels in your skin that you can consciously control individually in real time. The patterns ripple across their body at will. Stripes, spots, waves, camouflage, warning colors, mating displays, all of it happening faster than you can blink. But here's the paradox that has baffled scientists for decades. Cuttlefish are colorblind. Let me say that again, because it's genuinely insane. Cuttlefish have only one type of photoreceptor in their eyes. Humans have three. We see red, green, and blue, and our brain combines them to create all the colors we perceive. Many birds have four. The mantis shrimp has 16. Cuttlefish have one. They see in grayscale, black and white, shades of gray. That's it. And yet, they can perfectly match the colors of their environment. They can create patterns that blend seamlessly with coral reefs, rocky outcrops, sandy bottoms. They can produce warning displays in colors that predators understand. They can create elaborate courtship displays with colors they cannot see. How? For years, this was one of the greatest mysteries in marine biology. Scientists proposed theory after theory. Maybe they could sense color through their skin somehow? Maybe they were using polarized light? Maybe they were just really good at matching brightness and contrast. The answer, when it finally came, was even stranger than anyone expected. Cuttlefish don't match colors. They match patterns and contrast. Their single photoreceptor is incredibly sensitive to differences in brightness and texture. They see the world in extraordinary detail, all the edges, all the shadows, all the variations in light intensity. Then their brain processes this information and generates skin patterns that match what they're seeing. But they're not copying colors. They're solving an equation. Their brain takes the grayscale information from their eyes, analyzes the patterns and textures around them, and then activates the exact combination of chromatophores, iridophores, and leucophores needed to create a matching visual effect, even though the cuttlefish itself has no idea what colors it's producing. It's like being a master painter who's completely colorblind, but who understands light and shadow so perfectly that your paintings look full color to everyone else. Recent research has revealed something even more amazing. Cuttlefish might actually be able to detect color through chromatic aberration. When light passes through their W-shaped pupils, different colors focus at slightly different distances, and the cuttlefish's brain might be using this effect to gain color information without having color receptors. It's still being studied, but if true, it means cuttlefish are using their weird eye shape to hack around their color blindness. They've turned a bug into a feature. Evolution doesn't always make sense, but it always works. A small fish swims near a cuttlefish. The fish is cautious. It knows predators lurk in these waters. It stays alert, ready to dart away at the first sign of danger. The cuttlefish doesn't chase. It doesn't need to. Instead, it does something that looks like magic. Waves of color begin pulsing across the cuttlefish's body. Dark bands ripple from head to tail over and over in a rhythmic pattern. The effect is hypnotic, literally. The fish slows down. Its darting movements become less frantic. It seems confused, disoriented, drawn to the pulsing pattern. Scientists call this passing cloud display, and it's one of the most effective hunting techniques in the ocean. The fish drifts closer, transfixed by the waves. The cuttlefish remains perfectly still, except for those pulsing colors. Closer, closer. Then, in a movement too fast to follow, the cuttlefish's two longer tentacles shoot forward. They're normally kept retracted, hidden among the 8 arms, but they can extend to twice the length of the cuttlefish's body in a fraction of a second. The tentacles have specialized suckers on the ends, clubs covered in suckers, that grab the fish and pull it back toward the beak. The 8 arms wrap around the prey, holding it in place. The parrot-like beak tears into flesh. It's over in seconds. The fish never had a chance. But the hypnosis technique isn't the only trick cuttlefish have. Different species use different strategies. Some cuttlefish are ambush predators. They bury themselves in sand with only their eyes exposed, perfectly camouflaged, waiting for prey to swim by. When something edible comes close enough, they explode out of the sand, grab it, and disappear back under in one smooth motion. Others use their camouflage to sneak up on prey. They move slowly, matching the background perfectly, inching closer and closer until they're within striking range. Crabs, shrimp, small fish, none of them see the cuttlefish coming until it's too late. And then there's the most sophisticated trick of all: deception. Male cuttlefish are larger and more colorful than females. When it's mating season, big males guard females aggressively, fighting off any rivals. Smaller males don't stand a chance in a direct confrontation, so smaller males cheat. They change their color patterns to look like females. They retract their special tentacles. They adjust their posture. They swim right past the guarding male, who sees what looks like another female and ignores them. Then, when they're close to the actual female, they quickly mate and swim away before the guard realizes what happened. It's not just camouflage. It's identity theft. It's tactical cross-dressing. It's brilliant. And it works. This tells us something really important about cuttlefish. They're not just reacting on instinct. They're planning. They're problem-solving. They're being sneaky in ways that require understanding what other cuttlefish are thinking. That takes intelligence. Let's talk about their brains, because this is where cuttlefish go from impressive predators to genuinely fascinating creatures. Cuttlefish have the largest brain-to-body ratio of any invertebrate. Their brain is highly developed, with distinct lobes dedicated to different functions: memory, learning, vision processing, and motor control. In laboratory tests, cuttlefish can solve puzzles, navigate mazes, and learn from experience. They can remember where they've found food before and return to those locations. They can learn to associate certain colors or shapes with rewards or punishments. But what really sets them apart is their ability to plan ahead. In one famous experiment, researchers offered cuttlefish a choice: eat a piece of crab meat immediately or wait and get a more preferred food, live shrimp, later. Most animals will take the immediate reward, but cuttlefish consistently waited for the better food, showing they could delay gratification for future benefit. This is remarkable because it indicates they have a sense of the future. They can imagine a better outcome and modify their behavior to achieve it. That's a level of cognitive sophistication we usually only see in primates, crows, and a few other highly intelligent animals. They also show something that looks a lot like personality. Individual cuttlefish react differently to the same situations. Some are bold and curious, approaching new objects quickly. Others are shy and cautious, hiding until they're sure it's safe. Some are aggressive during feeding, while others are more passive. And they remember individual humans. Researchers who work with cuttlefish regularly report that the animals recognize them and react differently to different people. A cuttlefish might approach one researcher calmly while displaying alarm colors to another. They seem to remember who fed them, who handled them gently, and who caused them stress. This is particularly interesting because cuttlefish are largely solitary creatures. Unlike dolphins or primates that live in social groups and need to remember individual group members, cuttlefish spend most of their lives alone. Yet they still have the cognitive capacity to recognize and remember individuals. Why? Nobody knows for sure, but it might be related to mating. Cuttlefish need to recognize individual rivals and potential mates. Being able to remember, "I fought this male before and lost," or "this female rejected me," could be evolutionarily valuable. Now, here's a question you might be wondering: can you eat them? The answer is yes, and people have been eating cuttlefish for thousands of years. In many coastal cultures across Asia and the Mediterranean, cuttlefish are considered a delicacy. The Japanese call them shako and serve them as sushi, often boiled and presented with their beautiful shells still on. In Italian cuisine, especially in the Adriatic region, they're called canocchi and are grilled, fried, or added to pasta dishes. In Spain, they're galeras. The taste: people describe it as sweeter and more delicate than regular shrimp, with meat that's tender and slightly buttery. The texture is closer to lobster than shrimp, firmer, meatier, more substantial. The best meat comes from the tail. But here's the thing: they're incredibly difficult to harvest safely and sustainably. Cuttlefish don't school like regular shrimp. They're solitary, territorial creatures. You can't trawl for them efficiently. Most are caught individually by divers or in baited traps, making them labor-intensive to harvest. And their populations are vulnerable to overfishing because they reproduce relatively slowly for their size and are tied to specific reef habitats. When a coral reef is damaged or destroyed, the cuttlefish lose their homes, those burrows they defend so fiercely. In high-end restaurants across Asia, a plate of cuttlefish can cost significantly more than regular shrimp or even lobster. You're not just paying for the taste, you're paying for the rarity and the difficulty of catching them. The ink is often used in cooking too. Black risotto, risotto al nero di sepia, is a famous Italian dish where the rice is cooked in cuttlefish ink, turning it black and giving it a rich, briny flavor. It's dramatic on the plate and delicious. Cuttlefish have been around for a very long time. Fossil records show that cuttlefish ancestors existed over 200 million years ago, back when dinosaurs were just starting to diversify. Ancient cuttlefish shared the Mesozoic seas with plesiosaurs, mosasaurs, and giant marine crocodiles. They survived the asteroid impact that killed the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. While the giant marine reptiles went extinct, cuttlefish persisted. They adapted. They evolved. They refined their incredible camouflage and hunting techniques over millions of years. By the time humans came along, cuttlefish were already masters of their craft. Ancient Mediterranean cultures knew about cuttlefish well. The Greeks and Romans harvested them for food and for their ink. That's right. The dark liquid cuttlefish spray, when threatened, has been used as ink for thousands of years. The word sepia, which we still use to describe brownish photograph tones, comes from Sepia officinalis, the scientific name for the common cuttlefish. Roman naturalist Pliny the Elder wrote about cuttlefish in his encyclopedia around 77 AD. He described how fishermen caught them, how they changed color, and how their ink could be used for writing and painting. During the Renaissance, sepia ink became even more popular among artists. Masters like Leonardo da Vinci and Rembrandt used it for sketches and studies. The warm brown tone was perfect for creating depth and shadow. Even today, sepia tone is a standard filter in photography software, a digital echo of a pigment that came from these creatures. The cuttlebone, that internal buoyancy organ, has been used for centuries too. In ancient times, jewelers used it as a mold for casting small metal objects. The porous structure holds molten metal perfectly, creating detailed castings. Even today, pet stores sell cuttlebones as calcium supplements for birds. In traditional Chinese medicine, cuttlebone has been used for over 2,000 years. Ancient texts describe using ground cuttlebone to stop bleeding, reduce stomach acid, and heal wounds. Modern research has actually found that cuttlebone does have hemostatic properties. It really can help stop bleeding. The scientific study of cuttlefish has a fascinating modern history. While ancient people knew cuttlefish existed and used them, understanding how their incredible camouflage worked took much longer. It wasn't until the 20th century that scientists began to really piece together the mechanisms. In the 1950s and 60s, researchers started studying cephalopod chromatophores under microscopes, discovering the muscle fibers that control them. But they still couldn't explain how cuttlefish created such perfect camouflage so quickly. The breakthrough came in the 1990s and early 2000s with the work of Dr. Roger Hanlon at the Marine Biological Laboratory in Woods Hole, Massachusetts. Dr. Hanlon has spent over 40 years studying cephalopod camouflage, and his research team has made groundbreaking discoveries about how cuttlefish process visual information and translate it into skin patterns. His experiments revealed that cuttlefish have a library of pre-programmed patterns in their brain, about 13 major pattern types that they mix and match depending on the environment. They don't consciously decide every chromatophore. Instead, their brain rapidly analyzes the environment and selects the best fit pattern, then executes it almost instantly. It's like having a wardrobe of outfits and choosing the right one for the occasion, except the choosing and changing happens in less than a second. In 2012, a groundbreaking study proved definitively that cuttlefish have only one visual pigment, yet they can match multicolored backgrounds. This discovery forced scientists to completely rethink how cuttlefish perceive and interact with their world. More recently, in 2019, researchers discovered that cuttlefish can see polarized light, something humans cannot do without special filters. Polarized light reveals information about objects that normal vision misses, like the composition of surfaces or the presence of hidden prey. This gives cuttlefish yet another tool for hunting and navigation, and in 2020, scientists found that cuttlefish have one of the most sophisticated learning capabilities in the invertebrate world. They can pass delayed gratification tests, something even many vertebrates struggle with. This suggests their intelligence rivals that of birds and mammals in certain ways. Just in 2021, researchers discovered that cuttlefish embryos can learn while still inside their eggs. They exposed eggs to certain visual patterns, and when the cuttlefish hatched, they recognized and preferred those patterns. This means cuttlefish have memory and learning capability before they're even born. Every year brings new revelations about these creatures. We're still uncovering the depths of their abilities. Today, scientists are studying cuttlefish for all sorts of applications beyond just understanding them. The camouflage technology has obvious military interest. Engineers are trying to create adaptive camouflage materials for soldiers, vehicles, and equipment based on cuttlefish skin. Imagine a uniform that could change color and pattern to match any environment automatically. Several countries have active research programs working on this. The materials science is equally fascinating. Cuttlefish skin is soft, flexible, and can change not just color but texture almost instantly. Materials. Scientists are trying to create synthetic materials with similar properties. This could revolutionize everything from clothing to architecture. Imagine buildings that could change their appearance based on time of day or season. Medical researchers are studying cuttlefish because of their incredible healing abilities. If a cuttlefish loses an arm, which happens in fights or escapes from predators, it can regenerate a new one. Understanding how they trigger and control regeneration could have implications for human medicine. Robotics engineers are fascinated by how cuttlefish control millions of chromatophores simultaneously with such precision. This kind of distributed control system, millions of independent units coordinated by a central brain, could inspire new approaches to robotics and computer systems. And neuroscientists study cuttlefish to understand how intelligence can evolve in completely different ways from vertebrate intelligence. Cephalopod brains are structured totally differently from mammal or bird brains, yet they achieve similar cognitive results. This tells us that intelligence isn't one thing with one path. It can emerge through many different evolutionary routes. Some researchers even believe that studying cuttlefish could help us understand what alien intelligence might look like. If life exists elsewhere in the universe, it probably won't have vertebrate-style brains. It might have something more like a cephalopod's distributed nervous system. Understanding how intelligence works in cuttlefish might prepare us for recognizing intelligence in truly alien forms. But here's the tragic part of the cuttlefish story, and it's something they share with all cephalopods. They don't live very long. Most cuttlefish species live only 1 to 2 years. A few larger species might make it to 3 years, but that's exceptional. They grow incredibly fast, mature quickly, mate once, and die. This is especially heartbreaking given their intelligence. Imagine being that smart, that capable, that sophisticated, and only getting 1 or 2 years to exist. After mating, male cuttlefish often die within weeks. Females fare a bit better. They lay their eggs, anywhere from 100 to 1,000 depending on the species, guard them carefully, and then die shortly after the eggs hatch. Sometimes they die before the eggs even hatch, their body simply giving out after the reproductive effort. The newly hatched cuttlefish are miniature versions of their parents, fully functional and ready to hunt. They never meet their parents. They never receive any teaching or guidance. Everything they know is hardwired into their genes or learned through trial and error. It's called semal parity, reproducing once and dying. It's common in insects and some fish, but rare in animals with this level of cognitive complexity. Why do they live such short lives? Scientists think it's an evolutionary trade-off. Cuttlefish invest heavily in rapid growth, and neural development rather than longevity. Their high metabolism and constant color-changing burn energy quickly. And in the dangerous environment of the ocean, where predators are everywhere, maybe living fast and reproducing quickly is better than trying to survive for years. But it feels like a waste. These brilliant, beautiful creatures, capable of learning and memory and problem-solving, get such a brief window to experience existence. It's one of nature's most bittersweet designs. But perhaps the most important thing about cuttlefish is what they teach us about perception and reality. We humans tend to assume that the way we see the world is the way the world actually is. We see in color, so we think color is fundamental. We see in 3 dimensions, so we think three-dimensionality is obvious. But the cuttlefish sees the world in grayscale and still creates perfect color patterns. It perceives polarized light that we cannot see. It processes visual information in ways our brains can't comprehend. It experiences reality through an entirely different set of senses and mental models. And yet, it thrives. It hunts successfully. It evades predators. It finds mates. It solves problems. This tells us something profound. There is no single correct way to perceive reality. Our human experience is just one possible interpretation of the world around us. There are colors we can't see, sounds we can't hear, dimensions of experience we can't access. The cuttlefish lives in the same ocean we swim in, hunts in the same reefs we explore, but it experiences a completely different reality. A reality of polarized light patterns, of rapid-fire pattern matching, of electric-fast color changes, of tastes detected through skin. And it's been doing this for 200 million years, long before humans existed, and it will probably continue long after we're gone. So the next time you see sepia-toned photographs, remember where that name came from. The next time you're in a Mediterranean restaurant and see black risotto on the menu, think about the creature that contributed to coloring that rice. The next time you visit an aquarium and see what looks like a floating rock suddenly reveal itself as a living animal, take a moment to appreciate what you're witnessing. You're looking at one of evolution's most elegant solutions to the problem of survival. A creature that turned colorblindness into an advantage. That made art out of necessity. That became a hypnotist, a shapeshifter, a genius in a body with no bones. The cuttlefish, ancient survivor, master of illusion, living paradox, swimming through our oceans right now, creating colors it cannot see, solving problems with a brain completely unlike ours, living fast and dying young, beautiful and tragic and absolutely magnificent. A reminder that the world is stranger than we think, more wonderful than we imagine, and full of creatures whose existence challenges everything we thought we knew about what's possible. If you enjoyed learning about the cuttlefish, hit that subscribe button. We've got more incredible animals coming, creatures that reverse aging, fish that shoot water bullets, birds that perfectly mimic chainsaws. Nature is full of stories that sound too wild to be true. Drop a comment and let me know what creature you want to see next. I read every comment. Thanks for watching.